Well, then,
So,
if you're good, just stay right there, and let's bring in Charlie Peterson. He played quarterback at BYU in 1999, 2000, 2001, the end of the Lavelle Edwards era, the start of the Gary Croton run. Also author of the books How to Play Quarterback Like a Pro and Quarterback Bible, which are available on Amazon. In the business of home building tonight, football analyzing. Our pleasure to welcome Charlie Peterson to the Wise Guys. Charlie, you just finished watching your boys' football game. How did it go tonight?
Oh, it's so much fun. They're just little kids. So 7 and 8-year-olds running around tackling each other with flags. It's great.
It's flags still.
Yeah, he's too young for the padded stuff. I probably won't put him in until he's a little bit older anyway. So
probably a good idea.
What's your age, Charlie, where you're like, okay, they're okay for contact now? What's your thought on that?
It's funny. My old man was 100% hell-bent on me not playing until I was in 9th grade, which was in high school. So I didn't even start playing regular football with pads until my 9th grade year in high school. So, that's a hard one. I mean, he's playing lacrosse and he gets smacked around there, so I figure I might as well let him play football too.
I've heard Lavelle on multiple occasions over the years, people ask him, and he's like, you know what? Whenever they love it and want to do it. And he goes, but it's not a huge disadvantage if they don't do it till 8th or 9th grade. He always used to say that. He's like, he says, you want them to have them do it when they're so in love with it that they want to practice every day and they don't tire of it when they're still excited about it. I'm like, okay, that's great advice. That just tells you when they're ready, right?
Hey, what'd you think of the football game Saturday?
Oh, man. Oh, it broke my heart. It was really fun to watch. I'll tell you what, Kansas is so dynamic. You watched all of their motions and formation shifts. I mean, you talk about a challenge defensively to prepare for. I mean, I think Kansas is going to give Texas fits this week, and their quarterback is so versatile, and they just have a system so unique to him. And that being said, as complimentary as I am toward them, I thought we had them on the ropes a couple times. Anytime you have a turnover, it's a bad situation, but when the turnover leads to a direct score, a scoop and score, pick six, that's when you're really, really behind the 8 ball. And I thought BYU played really well. I just wish we could run the ball. I'd never thought I really missed the Tyler Algier days. That guy was a beast. And, when BYU has the balance, when they can run effectively, and I think that's where we're lacking. I think Keaton Slovis is playing lights out. He is so talented and he's light on his feet. He's just very efficient in his throwing motion. Really fun to watch.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Keaton a little bit. You played that position, and really when you played, this is a very similar offense to what you ran. Aaron's kind of brought back some of the old concepts, right, that you ran, that I ran back in the olden days. Through 4 games, what's your evaluation of Keaton, how he fits in this system?
Well, I think he's an NFL caliber player. I mean, you don't throw for, what's he thrown for, over 10,000 yards or something like that in his college career. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I like watching him. He's so graceful, and his throwing motion is just so fluid and it's crisp. And you can see the wrist snap at the top of his release, and that ball's just spinning. And he's throwing it in tight windows. The decision at the end of the beginning of the third quarter, that third down interception, that was a tough one because, we're up 17-14. Just the momentum shift is so dramatic. Even if we punt there, we're in good shape. And BYU showed earlier against Arkansas that we can weather those kind of storms. I just feel like we just got some unlucky plays. I mean, poor Kingston got lit up. I don't even know if he saw the corner on that fumble. But overall, I'm very pleased. I thought BYU, I'm happy with them being 3-1 at this point in the season. That's kind of what I predicted them. I thought they would actually lose to Arkansas and beat Kansas, and so it's kind of been a role reversal that way.
Charlie, you were a right-handed quarterback. We talked about this earlier tonight on After Further Review. When you're rolling to your right and you've got your tight end coming back like Rex was, how difficult of a throw is that compared to, let's say, you're rolling to your left as a right-handed quarterback?
It's funny. I actually found it more difficult rolling to my right and throwing to my right because when you're rolling left, you're forced to flip your hips. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that old play with Brett Favre to Shannon Sharp in the playoffs years and years ago. I mean, he's all the way to the left sideline. He flips his hips and just launches it. And I feel like for a quarterback, getting that hip rotation is really important. when you're rolling right, that's your normal body motion, so the ball tends to fade off to the side a little bit. It's a very difficult throw, and of course, when you're rolling one way and you throw back the other, you're just begging for an INT.
Yeah, we broke that down to, like, these guys that I keep telling them, ask any quarterback. So he did. He asked the quarterback, Charlie Peterson, and rolling to your left, you can't even make the throw unless you rotate your torso and get your shoulders square to the target. You can throw right across your body rolling to the right, and sometimes you have to, and there's no way you can be accurate with your shoulders pointed to the sideline and just kind of throw it, and especially when you're about to get hit, which is what Keaton had. We looked at that one play, Charlie, and we noted if the ball's accurate right in the frame of Isaac, it's either going to be pass interference or Isaac catches the ball, but because it's back inside, Isaac makes the Cardinal sin of reaching back and tipping it up. But I think that was a tough throw. He was running full speed to his right, couldn't get his hips or shoulders around, and got smacked as he let it go. Yeah. And the ball sailed inside on him. So that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, looking back on it, you almost wish we just swallowed it, take the sack and punt, just because the turnover, especially when they score like that, now you've got the crowd behind you. It's just... And it's just too hard to catch up in those situations. I mean, turnovers are tough enough, but like I said, when you're 21 points off of turnovers, that's the difference in the ball game. BYU moved the ball effectively through the air. The running game is lacking. What are we averaging? 2.5 yards a carry, if that. I mean, that's a frustrating point. I'm tired of being in 2nd and 12 in those type of situations.
I'll add this from Aaron Roderick in response to that decision by Keaton. He said, we pride ourselves on not making bad decisions on 3rd and long situations. And he said, and to qualify that, we pride ourselves on not losing games on making a rash decision on 3rd and long. And so it's just uncharacteristic of Keaton to do that. Like, they've worked a lot with him to kind of hone it in. And like you said, Charlie, just eat it. Just take the sack, punt, and let your defense come back out on the field. Yeah. If Kansas is good enough to earn a touchdown, they earn it. Yeah. But you've got one of the best punters in the country who has been known to flip the field. If Rico rips off a 58-yard Rico bomb, now they're back on their 20, and you can kind of calm down.
What do we used to say, Charlie? Live to play another series, right? And the Masters, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, they'll throw a ball away on 3rd down and punt it. Rather than so live to play another series and don't give the game up on one play.
Former Cougar quarterback Charlie Peterson's on the Wise Guys tonight. Charlie threw for 2,262 yards and 11 touchdowns. Ran for a couple scores as well during his time as a Cougar. But for the next 45 seconds, you're the offensive coordinator, and you've got to get this running game going. So how are you going to do it?
Whew. That's a great question. What's wrong with lining up in the eye once in a while and just ground and pound on first?
I would love to see that, yes.
Throw some play action off. I think you just got to do quick hitters, quick traps, inside, let the guards pull. Some of those slower developing plays, the counters are tough, but, we should be able to run power. I mean, LJ's tough, you guys. And I thought Aiden's a good athlete as well. So we just have to figure out a way to get ahead of the sticks earlier and not be chasing so much. We're putting a ton of stress on Keaton on those 3rd and long situations, and it really cuts down your playbook when those happen. I don't know. I would guess our 3rd and 5 ratio versus 3rd and 5 and shorter was probably 3-1, 3rd and long. I don't know the exact stats. It just felt like we were in long yardage situations a little too often.
Hey, the Big 12 home opener is Friday night. Spencer's outlined for us BYU's success at night, which is just remarkable. First of all, your thoughts on the game tonight, and then, hey, I know it's still early, but how do you think BYU is going to do in this new conference?
A bunch of my friends, Ryan Hancock, Eric Drage, a bunch of BYU buddies, we always have our preseason predictions about how we're going to do, and I feel like if we got to 7 or 8 wins this year, it would be an incredible year. That transition into the Big 12 was big. I mean, Cincinnati's a really good football team, you guys. They had Oklahoma on the ropes twice. In fact, I think they were in the red zone 4 times and didn't score touchdowns. I mean, they had a real chance to beat Oklahoma at home. And I feel like BYU is going to be right in that mix of the Kansas-type football games. You're going to see a lot of one-score football games. And the key is going to be, who's going to make the play at the end of the game. I will say this, though. Watching Keaton at the end of that Arkansas game, he had a 3rd and 9 scramble for a first down. And then we went and scored and tied it up. And it just took the wind right out of the Arkansas Stadium cells. And I feel like those are the kind of plays that differentiate winning and losing. And I also really like our kicker. I feel like he's pretty consistent. I wouldn't be afraid of putting a game-winning kick in his hands at any time.
Friday night, BYU in Cincinnati. A few more questions with Charlie Peterson. It was a Friday night 23 years ago when you made your first start at BYU. You threw for 324 yards and a touchdown against Utah State. Do you still remember what it felt like to run onto the field?
Oh, you feel it. Yeah, you'll never forget that. I mean, just running out with your teammates, that's what it's all about. I remember the huddles, the jokes, and I mean, it's funny when I talk to old teammates, they don't remember any of that stuff. They remember all the pranks that happened in the locker room, So, yeah, I had great memories, and I had I really thoroughly enjoyed my career. I mean, obviously, looking back, you always wish, you could have made this play and done a little bit better here and all those type of things, but I was surrounded by really good athletes, and Brandon Doman himself was a really good athlete. So we had a great football team, great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was just fantastic.
Kalani was one of those teammates. You were a teammate with Kalani during Lavelle's final season. Yeah. What was Kalani like as a teammate?
Well, let's put it this way. Kalani is a lot more mellow on the outside than he is on the inside. Because that man is a fireball. And he was like that in the huddle, and he was always just salivating to get that lead block or to catch the ball in the flat. He was ready and he was amped, and you can see it. And he's still the same. And Justin, Emma, the whole group's still the same. A-Rod's still the same. I mean, Aaron was a very cerebral, intelligent football player, and that's carried into his coaching. And I love our coaching staff. I love what they do with those boys. I'll tell you what, you guys, that transfer portal is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It is so difficult for college football now. You're going to see such big turnover like we've seen in the past. And the teams that are going to profit from it are teams like BYU. The teams that are going to suffer from it are, unfortunately, teams like my little brother's team, Utah Tech. I mean, they lost their starting quarterback, their starting running back, and their starting wide receiver, and all of them are starting for D1 schools now, and Utah Tech's really struggling. So, the smaller tier schools are going to suffer when they lose their athletes, and the bigger tiers are going to gain.
We had a great visit with your brother Paul when Utah Tech came up last year, played on BYU TV. How often does he hit you up for quarterback advice?
Oh, not often. He's living his own world, but I keep in touch with him. We touch base. He's frustrated right now. Utah Tech is, they've lost a couple to really, really good football teams, but like I said, that transfer portal, it's just hard. I mean, what kind of continuity can you generate? Had he had those 3 starters back, they might be 4-0 right now instead of 1-3. You just don't know. And it's kind of fun to see, and it's entertaining. I mean, we saw what Deion Sanders did at Colorado. Yeah. But it's definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, the grass is absolutely not greener on the other side. And I think the statistics for the transfer portal, it's 7 out of 10 don't even go on to play anymore. I can't remember the number, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I heard Deion saying the other day, transfer portal, we're not even going to recruit high school kids anymore. Why would we do that? We'll just go get a proven guy. And I'm thinking, man, that doesn't sound like it's good for college football to me, or for high school football. What's your thought on that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's too much pressure. College football is becoming much more transactional rather than transformational. College football coaches don't have time for players that aren't going to play. I mean, how many guys did we bring in on the transfer portal that are starting right now? 5 or 6 are starters right now, including Keaton. So I think you're going to see that more and more. And the teams that are going to be successful over the long period of time are ones that can recruit really well and then keep the players within their program, because that's how you're going to build that continuity.
Charlie Peterson, the Chief Marketing Officer of ImpressHomesUtah.com. You ready for 5 questions?
Sure, fire away.
And you can't, we gave
Don't
him to,
copy
we
Spencer's
gave him
if
to
you heard
Spencer,
those.
and he He hesitated. You can't hesitate. You just the first thing that comes to your mind.
He went into the deep end of the pool, just reacts.
When we gave him the anyhow, you just
I got sacked a few times, Charlie. I held onto the ball too long.
Whatever comes to your mind, just throw it out there. Okay. So here we go. Your favorite sports movie.
Favorite sports movie? Oh man, that's a tough one. I'll go with the Program.
Oh yes, James
the
Caan.
Program.
Let's go.
I don't know that anybody said The Program.
That's a new one.
That's early 90s.
Yes.
Right
Oh yeah, I remember it well.
James Caan.
Okay, your favorite singer or band?
I'm gonna have to roll with George Strait, just
George
because
Strait.
he's classic country.
Pure country for the win.
He's
That's a good
classic.
one.
He's playing Rice Eccles in the spring.
Yeah, he's still playing stadiums. That George Strait's
You
big
need
time.
to get to that one.
Your favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh God, my favorite breakfast cereal. I'll go with Reese's Pieces Puffs.
Love those.
There's no shame in that.
I forgot about
Pieces,
those.
wow.
Those are delicious.
I'm not gonna lie. The other night, I went and got some peanut butter Captain Crunch, just the peanut butter.
Delicious.
Yeah,
Delicious.
And ate it at like 11 o'clock at night. What's wrong with me?
Nothing.
Okay, your favorite ice cream?
Favorite ice cream? That's a good one too. What's that oh no, they used to make it. They don't even have it anymore. It's the Haagen-Dazs caramelized pecan. It was caramelized pear and pecan. It was fantastic.
Caramelized pear and pecan.
I didn't even
Go
know that
look
was
it
a
up.
thing.
I'm telling you.
I
go
said
look it up.
cashew conquistador, which is like
It feels like you just
vanilla
made up
ice
a
cream
flavor.
with caramel and cashews in it. This sounds similar to that. I could go for this one.
I'm telling you, it's amazing.
You lost me at pear and pecan. But I was with you for caramel.
Caramelized pear. You have to look it up. It's been off the market
Okay,
for a year.
I'm looking for this. Okay, and the last of your 5 questions is, what's the favorite advice you've ever gotten from your wife?
Ooh.
From
From
my
your
wife.
wife. Yep.
Favorite advice I've ever gotten from my wife. You know, my wife has been through breast cancer. She's
Yeah.
actually the chief executive officer of Empress Homes. I'm actually an assistant principal at Taylorsville High School. So she's the one who's building the houses. I just try to market for her. But I think my best advice for her is that she says to me is, you can do hard things. And I just like that. Those 4 words, you can do hard things. That's a real mind shift and change for you. So I'll go with that one.
I love it.
You can do hard things. What's your score for Friday night?
Boy, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. I feel like Cincinnati's really underrated, but we do have them at home. So I'm gonna roll with BYU by a touchdown. We'll go 31-24 Cougs.
31-24. Okay.
We've got it
I
written
like
down.
it.
So now that it's been written, so let it be done.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We'll take any win that BYU can get. We'll take it.
Charlie
Hey,
Peterson.
Blaine, one thing real quick. I just wanted to tell you, as a father now, looking back and seeing your 2 boys go through BYU, I just have to give a tip of the cap to them, because it's really fun to watch old BYU players come back and their sons are playing. It's happening all the time now, and it's just really fun to see. I can't believe I'm as old as I am. I've been interviewing with you guys. I feel like I'm in my mid-20s again. But time goes so fast, you guys.
You'll be
It's
there
just
someday.
flying.
And I'll tell you, it's when they run out of the tunnel for the first time, it feels the same as when you ran out of the tunnel for the first time, only you're a little bit more nervous, because you can control what you do on the field, but you can't control what they do. So, and I did about 10 BYU Utah games in a row there for a period of time. And I actually did a couple when Kellen was playing, starting at free safety. So I'm interviewing Kyle Whittingham the day before the game. And Kyle's my old roommate from college. So he and I can be honest with each other. And Kyle says to me, be honest with me. You're rooting for BYU tomorrow. I'm like, no, Kyle. Like, I'm not rooting for BYU. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not rooting for BYU. I don't root when I'm calling a game. Like, I'm going to call the game. He goes, no, I'm not saying you're not going to call the game fair. I'm saying you're rooting for BYU. And I go, no. He goes, you're telling me that Kellen's starting at free safety. Like, he's grilling me.
Yeah.
And you're not rooting for BYU. I go, Kyle, I'm calling the game down the line. I'm not rooting for anybody. But I am rooting for Kellen to play great. And Kyle stops for a minute and he goes, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm rooting for us, but I will root for Kellen to play great. That's what Kyle said. And that's the agreement that Kyle and I came up with. And so that was a really surreal thing for me to actually call games. I called games that Kellen played, and I called games that that Gavin played in, and it's weird because I just didn't focus on them in those games, but my favorite thing is when I'm not having to call the game, to watch them run out of that tunnel, because you know the goosebumps you get when you run out yourself, right, Charlie? You've done it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just every time it never gets old. And then to watch your boys run out is something really, really special.
Yeah.
Well, it's irreplaceable. I mean, even in that stupid alumni flag football game, it's just fun. And guys hold on to that because it was 5 years of grind. It's 5 years of hard work where you're putting your tears, heart, and soul into something. And it's character building. And I'm just, like I said, I'm so grateful for my experience at BYU. I love playing for Lavelle. I love playing for Gary Croton. It's just fantastic.
Hey, we're proud of you. And you showed in that alumni game, you still have your arms.
Oh, yeah, you
so nice
still got
job.
it. You can still spin it. We saw that for sure.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Great Charlie Peterson on the Wise Guys. Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks,
See
Charlie.
you, Charlie.
All right, you guys enjoy. Go Cougs.
Charlie Peterson with us on Wise Guys.